cruise on board a Nile steamer was a concept pioneered by British tourists in the late 19th century, looking for a way to explore ancient Egypt without sacrificing any of the creature comforts. And here we are now enjoying that same privilege on board the beautifully restored SS Misr. Originally constructed by the Royal Navy in 1918, the Misr was eventually bought and converted into a luxury Nile steamer for King Farouk. In 2006, she was fully refurbished to exacting modern standards, with decor reflecting the glamour of her origins. Well, we're certainly being given the royal treatment, with 65 crew looking after a maximum of 44 guests. But there's nothing stuffy or pretentious about this cruise. It's simply a magnificent way to sail between Aswan and Cairo, a 600-mile journey. The temples and sites between Aswan and Luxor are world-renowned, but the Luxor to Cairo section of the Nile has been off limits until relatively recently. The Misr is one of only a handful of boats offering the full Nile cruise to Cairo, bringing ancient sites like Dendera, Abydos and Tuna al-Gebel back into the spotlight. On this cruise, for the most part, we often had the sites pretty much to ourselves. All too soon you run out of superlatives for the astonishing sights you see. But our guest lecturer George Hart was always on hand to give us the all-important historical context.
We're seeing the highlights of pharaonic civilization, covering the whole period. I mean, we start with temples that belong to the 4th century BC. We'll end up with pyramids that are in the 4 millennium BC. And that wide spectrum of the monuments we visit will give people an idea of longevity of Egyptian civilization, how culturally it was sophisticated, and what I try to emphasize, the sheer beauty of the art throughout that period.
And how do you decide how to pitch your lectures?
Well, the main thing is never underestimate the intelligence of your audience. So by the time I've said a few words in the first lecture, I'm beginning to see from their reaction just what level to pitch it at. It will never be a very simple level, there's always some complexity, but I've got 3,000 years of ancient Egyptian civilization to do in a couple of weeks. It's fun.
Yeah, it's quite a tall order really, isn't it? Accompanying us throughout the cruise, providing insightful guided tours of all the sites, we also had the pleasure of the company of our two cruise directors, Sharif and Mohammed, who here explains more about the pace of the day-to-day activity.
So we always prefer to start as early as possible, it's just to enjoy as much as we can from the day before it gets too hot. And by the time it gets too hot, by midday, we're already on board, having lunch and relaxing for a bit before going maybe to do a late afternoon activity. This is how we normally pace the trips if it is a full day, so always a break in between, avoiding the sun between 12 and 3.
But it's not just about visiting the sites, actually being on board ship is really great fun.
Absolutely. People will start coming, to this cruise and they are a bit tense, but this makes a whole lot of difference that is mainly British on the ship. Everybody opens up and it starts to become like a fun cruise. We actually divide them when we go sightseeing. Of course, it makes it much more personal, going around the temples and the sites. We can accumulate more questions. But on board of the ship, when we come back, we are all one big family. As cruise directors, we are enjoying the cruise, So I think, everybody will start doing the same, We have a great ship to travel on, very unique ship. We have wonderful sites that you cannot compare with anything else. And we have the Nile, a river, which is one of the most scenic rivers in the world.
With almost 90 hours of sailing time, nearly all by day, in between the sightseeing there's plenty of time to relax and enjoy the ever-changing scenery. and the excursions are great, but my favourite thing is being up on deck, just watching the life on the banks of the River Nile. Every time we approach a village or a little farming community, kids gather and come down, they're swimming out to meet the boat. It's just brilliant. The early morning light and sunsets are particularly beautiful. During the day up on deck, there's quite a bit of shade, a constant breeze, and the lovely pool. And if the daytime heat gets too much, you can always retreat to the air-conditioned lounge or indeed the comfort of your cabin. Another important aspect of any cruise is the food, and on board the Misr it is genuinely outstanding, with extensive buffets and occasional meze-style meals served at the table. There are some fun evenings too, with barbecues out on deck, the inevitable Egyptian night, and colourful local entertainment. All experiences that added to a cruise that everyone agreed made a lasting impression.
Egypt is a rather special place. I mean, it's not so very far from the UK, but it's another world, it really is.
I would describe it as the sort of luxury of times gone by, made modern, and enables you on this voyage to sail through the present, which has so many clues of the past. And I think it's that combination of new, old, both here and out there, that actually makes this.
I think it's absolutely beautiful. Everything about it, our cabin is like something for royalty. The food, the staff, everything about it, it's just wonderful.
I think what I said is when you go on holiday, you're often in a hotel looking across the bay and thinking, that's the hotel I want to stay in. And you, on the river here, you'd say, that's the boat I want to be on, and so it's just brilliant to be on it.
This really has been an epic journey, eye-opening, educational, and also great fun. Everyone on board has gelled really easily. The staff have been outstanding, and huge credit has to go to our double active cruise directors, keeping us not only informed, but entertained as well. This cruise is hard to beat. We really have seen the best of the Nile, and in right royal style.
Yeah.